then you don't then you want to have the hate always coming to you. And also, you say that you never look at the stream chat, but like all the time, but you kind of do, and we can tell, and a lot of people notice that a lot, especially in the Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2 playthrough. But I
Okay.
understand that you want
That
like
is
fan.
100% true for Dark Souls 1. That is very much not true in Dark Souls 2, but you can believe
Well,
whatever you want, but go ahead.
I'm just saying that's because I when I watched your Dark Souls 2 playthrough, the entire not the this is how you don't play, but most of the videos you always look in the stream chat. But like other playthroughs, you look at the stream chat, and
Hmm.
you say you never always look at the stream chat.
That's true. I don't always look at the stream chat. There are obviously are going to be times when I check. Frequently, if I'm watching or playing a game and I want to see, gee, how are people reacting to what just happened? How are people reacting to it? How's the viewership? I do look at the stream chat from time to time. I'll admit, if I'm completely stumped at a point of a game and I can't figure out what the hell I'm supposed to be doing, sometimes I'll look at the stream chat, and it's funny because sometimes people spam shit in the stream chat. Do this, do this, do this, and other times they don't.
Yeah.
So it depends, but it's. I'm not going to say that I never use it. No, I've never said that. I said that I don't
Well,
always use
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I'm not always staring at it like this. Oh, okay, do this, go right, go left, jump, press A. No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm playing the game, and because this is an interactive medium, every once in a while I'll look at the stream chat. The one exception to that, I would say absolutely 1,000,000% is Dark Souls. Dark Souls was a game I was so fucking fed up with and lost in that I needed people to hold my hand and tell me what to fucking do, or else I never would have gotten through that game. But Dark Souls 2 was a completely different animal where I was trying to tackle stuff for myself. It was very rare in Dark Souls 2 where someone told me something to do or to beat that I did need, or I didn't actively say, okay, I'm stuck now. Now I wonder what to do, versus me trying to figure it out myself at first. So, regardless of what you saw, what you thought you saw on Facecam, you understand there's other stuff I'm looking at too. I think a lot of people don't realize that I'm not just staring at stream chat. You've got viewership counts. I actually have a preview of the stream that's always playing on the
Okay.
dashboard, and I need to check that frequently because if that goes down, it means my stream's down. That's how I know if my stream is working or not. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of
Yeah.
factors and things that I'm looking at. In regards to your first point, about me in particular, I have no idea who you are, so I have no idea. I can't specifically address your opinion, obviously. You have to understand that if two people ever had said something on Twitter that pissed me off and I called them an idiot, then I would know who you are. But the fact that literally in the past year it's become every other day, every tweet that I get is that, I have no clue. So
Yeah.
I apologize. I hope you don't take offense that I don't particularly remember the situation or what happened on
It
Twitter.
yeah,
But
that's okay.
but to address it directly, first of all, I am going to be the first person to say I am human. You are one
Yeah.
million percent correct when you say that. You're right. If I got people attacking me, and it's something that is pissing me off, I should let it roll off the top of my head like a wet duck, right? Right off the top of the
Yeah.
head and say, it's who cares? It's some guy on Twitter. I don't care if he likes me or not or whatever. Why would I let that get to me? But the problem is I'm human, and there are days when maybe I'm in a bad mood. And of course, if I remember correctly, like I said, I don't remember a specific situation, but it sounds like this was a while ago, correct? This wasn't recently?
About the tweet thing? Or
Yeah. How long ago was
yeah,
that
yeah.
specific?
This been like it's almost a year
Oh,
almost.
okay. Because I was going to say, you got to understand that some days I'm just in here, especially since I moved to Washington. I'm in this fucking hot office, and it's just like a sweltering oven in here. And then some dickhead says
Yeah.
something on Twitter. It's like, oh my god, you really on top of everything here? I'm trying to work. I'm trying to put out an entertaining stream, and I got to have some dickhead on my case about something stupid. But first of all, you're 1,000,000% correct. I should be above it. I should be more mature about it. I shouldn't be personally insulting people who send me stupid tweets, all right? But I'm human. And the problem being human is that you don't have perfect self control, right? It would be like, let me put it to you this way. If there was a little gnat right here and it just kept buzzing me, and I could just shoo it away, or I could swat it, or I could choose to ignore it, and I'm going to react
Yeah.
differently depending on my demeanor. One day I may be real pissed and I say, fuck it. Someday I might just shoo it away, and it all depends on what's going on with me. Now, again, in your particular situation, I have no idea what the situation was. Obviously, it was something that really pissed me off, and I decided to block you on Twitter because I'll be honest, if you sent me a video and it was a video about someone saying something negative about me or any, I said, I don't want that. I can't. I have too many people now who are making these videos, regardless of if you could have been the one person on the planet who made one that was nice and well-intentioned and had good points. I can't watch them anymore because it's too time consuming. Too many people are doing it. They're malicious. There's a lot of evil people out there who are out there to just make people feel bad about themselves. And I need to focus on the positive. I need to focus on my business. I need to focus on working. So if you send me stuff like that on Twitter, that is what's going to happen. I definitively said black and white. If you send me a video on Twitter and say, Phil, here's a guy who made a video about you, and it's hate, I'm not going to watch it, and you're going to get blocked on Twitter. So I apologize if I called you an idiot. I apologize if you took offense. You're absolutely right. You probably caught me at a time when I'm pissed. If you notice, if you actually watch what I tweet, I don't do that often. You know what I mean? Maybe a couple times in a month or something. You have to understand that on a daily basis, I probably get about 40 nasty fucking tweets from people. Just today, you're the worst guy I've ever seen. You should fucking die. Shit like that. And it's like, you know, it's so much to the point where if it did piss me off, it's probably because it was just something that caught my attention at the wrong time when I wish I could have been focused on other stuff. And again, I do apologize. You don't have to believe me, but I do apologize.
I believe you, but like I said at the very beginning, I'm just a former fan, so once in a while I'll be coming back. I don't keep me like the center of the point, so I'm gonna ask one more thing. Like,
okay, sure.
A lot of people like me are former fans, and they made videos like what I did, and you always say you never when you already said what you like said what I did. So they make videos just like me, and you always call everyone haters and idiots and all that. It's like you're putting them down for when you're not watching their content.
See, that's not true. That is not true. And I wish that more people would actually listen to some of the stuff that I say rather than just what they hear through hearsay, or you hear me say one thing one particular time and you use that as a blanket statement. Absolutely not. I am 100% sure that there are people out there that maybe they had a criticism of stuff that I do, maybe they have constructive criticism, but you have to understand something, all right? There's how many thousands of you, and there's one of me.
And only one you.
I can't watch it all. I can't even tell what's constructive versus what's destructive, what's serious, what's meant to be malicious. I'm sorry. I wish that this was a better two-way interaction. I really do. I really wish that I had time to go through and say, okay, wow, that guy wrote a nice letter about, or a nice post on my forum about something that I could improve. This guy had a valid point here. I can't, because there's so much of it now. It's all become white noise. And unfortunately, the problem here is that there's some people who thought that it's fun to make fun of someone. It's fun to hate on someone. That's what it's become. It's become this mob mentality of making fun of Phil is a fun and funny thing to do versus we have valid points to help Phil. So I can't break through all that white noise to find out what the valid points are. So understand this. When I say, the more haters did shit today, I'm not talking about people who have valid points. The problem is I can't discern between who's valid and who's not, and I've already said this publicly. I'll say it again here tonight. Don't bother. Don't bother making a video about it. Because I can't watch it, because I don't know what's valid anymore, and I can't discern between it. One of me, thousands of you. I'm sorry that I'm not multiple people, or I don't have a team of people who can watch that kind of stuff. I'm in the one-man army. You know what I mean? I'm the one guy. I don't have anyone who works for me, and I can't take that time. I have to focus on making my content and my entertainment factor and my value and have my business operate, and I can't take time out on a daily basis to be watching all these videos. I hope that there aren't a bunch of people out there who think that when I am raging about someone who said something or did something, that I'm not talking about you if you're one of the people who really was concerned and had a valid concern and I didn't address it. I hope that you don't take it like that, because I'm not calling you that kind of a person. I'm talking to, the little kid who thinks it's funny to make this a teenager. I'm going to make fun of Phil because it's this bandwagon bullshit and he's not a good gamer or whatever, and they think that it's funny. And then, of course, now, look how it's affected my business. I don't get any new viewers anymore. I don't. My viewers is basically my hardcore fan base who was there from the beginning, and that's who watches my content. All those people who might have been new viewership, They don't come to me because they've heard that Darkside Phil is the guy who sucks at games and it's fun to make fun of him and it's this bandwagon thing. And so I don't have time to focus on it anymore. I have to make my
Yep.
business work. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's completely understandable. Like I understand. I don't do live streaming, so I'm not in that type of stuff. And I think the best interactive way to get someone else's opinion that is also someone like me is through what you are doing right now between me and you, expressing our opinion by talking to you through Skype. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the best way to express what we think, and hopefully it sinks in and says, "Oh, okay, this is like good points and good valid points." So that it sinks in, you take into consideration, you take another person's consideration points in consideration, and
Mm-hmm.
you start changing on those valid points, and
Well, you
then
see,
you're in,
and herein lies the problem. For every one great call that I get from someone like you, who we made valid points, we had a good conversation. I feel that on both sides, we both maybe learned a little, and maybe this could be a better relationship in the future. There's going to be,
yeah,
for every one of you, 500 idiots who literally are just, oh, I hate Phil anyway. I don't care. I'll twist what he just said into something negative. I'll make another negative video about it. And that's the problem, is that there aren't actual people out there who are willing anymore to listen or to even take anything that I say as truth. They just think that I'm like evil because it was this bandwagon mentality, and that's what's happened. So
yeah,
again, I apologize that I obviously, if you made a legit video and it was legit things you were saying in it, and you were really trying to help, and I took it as something hater-ish, I apologize. Obviously, no, I'm not trying to personally insult anyone, but that's unfortunately the byproduct of doing what I do, of being one man and dealing with a fan base of thousands and thousands of followers that like me, thousands of followers who hate me, and it is what it is. So there
yeah.
you have it.
Well, I guess we're done because
All
I
right.
don't know what time it is in where you live, because I'm on the East Coast, you're on the West Coast, so
It's
it's 11:30
it's
here. So
yeah, it's about 8:30. So I'm about to probably take one more caller after this, and then we'll call it quits for the show tonight. So all right,
okay,
thank you
well,
very much for your call, sir.
thank you.
All right, we got time for one more call, everybody. I know that one went super long, but obviously it was something that needed to be talked about, and it won't matter because here's the thing: for every oh wow, Phil had a legitimate conversation with someone, he apologized. The other people won't care. The haters, oh fuck Phil, he's not genuine. So that's what I mean. There was no real benefit, unfortunately, from me being real about situations like that anymore, because it did become this bandwagon mentality of just hate on Phil for the sake of hating on him. So whatever, it is what it is, and I brush it off my back and we move on. All right, Evolution 2006. For me, this was a completely unique experience and year, because if you guys saw Hate Live a couple months back, I did my EVO 2005 story. This was the year when I literally had no money. I basically maxed out my credit cards to go out. I went to Evolution. I ended up getting 5th place in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo at the national level, okay? National level fighting game championships. And the only people who placed above me were Japanese players. So, actually, I think it wasn't 5th, it was 4th place. Man, I'm misspeaking. I ended up getting 4th place that year. And like I said, the top 3 players were Japanese players. So, technically, that year I was the highest ranking American in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. This, of course, spurned a ton of controversy. A ton. Phil sucks. Phil's not actually good at Street Fighter. The only reason that Phil did anything at that tournament is because he played an inferior version of the game. He would never win at a different version of this game. He's a complete joke. He's a fluke, blah, blah, blah. Keep in mind, I have to say, I didn't pick the version of the game. EVO staff did. So until I won, it wasn't really a thing of contention. Only after I did well and got the highest ranking, American place in that tournament. Then, of course, now the tournament's bullshit. But if Alex Valle had gotten 4th place, then it would have been totally legit and on the level. But because DSP did well, it's bullshit, right? So I'm getting all this hate, and it's funny because it was a dichotomy. Half the people kind of like, wow, Phil's good. We watched his gameplay. He did really good that year. And the other half of people were like, oh, fuck Phil. He's a fluke. It's bullshit. He's not really good. It was just crap. So people trying to defame my name, as you see, back then they used to do it. They still do it today. But anyway, I was motivated by that year by saying, I did well. And I did so well that I really feel that if I committed myself to actually play a dedicated amount of time and try to be like a really high tournament level player, I could be one of, if not the best, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo player in the United States. I really felt that. I said if I put enough time into this, I could definitely do it. And I previously hadn't. And I decided that since I did so well at Evolution, now was my opportunity to try to jump on. I'm sure people were going to want to play against me. You know what I mean? John Rambo. This was one of the instances where I met John Rambo because I did so well at Evolution that year. That was one of the ways I met John Rambo. He wanted to play with me because he wanted to get better, and that's how we learned Super Turbo together. So, that year was a weird year because no one knew what was going to happen at Evolution the next year. Because everyone was like, oh, they're probably not going to play that version of Super Turbo again because, you know, it was a bad version, and, you know, how could Phil have gotten so high? We have to find a different version. Incidentally, like by coincidence, right, all of a sudden that year, it's announced Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo Anniversary Edition. So, the game was really fucking cheesy and cheap, but people were so desperate to move away from the PlayStation 1 version of Super Turbo because I had done so good at EVO 2005 that they wanted to move towards something different. Now, 2006 was a unique year for two reasons, okay? Number one, it was unique because there were the very first American qualifiers for almost every like possible game you could think of for Super Battle Opera. Now, in future years, I practiced a lot, and you guys follow me along my journey, and John Rambo as well, as we tried to qualify for Super Battle Opera, and eventually John Rambo didn't. He went to Japan, and that's a whole different story. But this was the first major year where Super Battle Opera was taking American qualifiers for a variety of games. And Arcade Edition was actually one of them, okay? And at the time, I was torn. I said, should I stay home and stay at home and play this game in practice for EVO, or should I really try to go to Japan? Because there's no way in hell I can afford both. It's going to be one or the other, right? And at that time, I kind of made the decision that I didn't think it was the right time to go to Japan, and that I was not going to actually enter the tournament to try to qualify to go to Japan. I didn't. And so incidentally, I didn't qualify, and I never went to Japan that year. But it was another unique year because the second thing that happened is that EVO got sponsorship. Now, this is before Street Fighter 4 ever came out. This is back when EVO was still playing the same old games. They were playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Capcom vs. SNK 2, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, and some version of Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. That year, it was Super Turbo Anniversary Edition. In addition to some other ones, like they would have Tekken and Guilty Gear and stuff like that. So they really didn't have a lot of potential for sponsorship. It wasn't like, oh, Mad Catz is selling a joystick to play Street Fighter 4. You know what I mean? None of that existed. It was much more grassroots. So I don't know what the story is. I don't know how the hell EVO managed to do this. It's the most silly thing I've ever heard of in my life. They got sponsorship from Toyota Yaris. The Toyota Yaris was a brand new model of car. That was the first year that it premiered. It is a car that looks nothing like a gamer would drive. It's some kind of, has a big ass on it, and it looks more like a family vehicle than anything else. Like if you need a lot of trunk space for shopping or for putting shit in the trunk because you have a big family, that's who you would cater and sell that vehicle to, not to a younger gaming crowd, especially back then. Keep in mind, there wasn't a lot of money in Street Fighter, so a lot of the people in the fighting game community were poor. They would basically, you know, scrounge up their money. They would beg people for money and donations to try to travel and even play Street Fighter. Why the hell you're catering a car to this audience and you think that it would sell this car? I have no fucking clue. But somehow, some crazy, the planets fucking aligned and someone at Toyota was high off their ass and thought this was going to work. So for 2 years, Toyota teamed up with Evolution, and 2006 was the very first year, and Evolution announced that they were going to have regional qualifier tournaments. And they would be held throughout the country. There would be one on the West Coast in California. There would be one on the East Coast, incidentally, in Connecticut. There would be one in the South in Texas and one in the Midwest. And they would be called EVO North, South, Midwest, you know, all those things. And they would be considered qualifying spots for the EVO Nationals. So what you would have to do is go to that tournament and do well. And if you did well at that tournament, you would get a seed. So when you went to EVO Nationals, you automatically got past certain people, or it kept you away from certain people. You'd be guaranteed not to play someone who's like a killer player first round. You may get a bye and skip a couple rounds. So that's how it was working. So I decided that I was going to practice the hell out of Super Turbo Arcade Edition, Super Turbo Anniversary Edition, excuse me, because I wanted to really win EVO East and go on to the Nationals. Like, this was my goal. This was what I really wanted to do. And previously, the year before, it had been this Japanese player named Takedo, who had beaten me when we had done our Vega Mirror match in the Super Turbo Finals on stage at Evolution 2005. And I was determined that if I ever played him, I was going to beat him again. It was like my goal. I have to be so good in this game that when I play this guy, I beat him, right? And that was kind of like my dedicate. I have to avenge my loss last year. So, that year, went to tons of tournaments. In the New York area, in the New Jersey area, anything that we held in Connecticut, anything in Massachusetts, New York. Did I say New York? I don't know if I said New York. All those areas I went to, and I played tournaments. Like Rhode Island. We went to Rhode Island a few times, too. And I played the hell. And by the time that we were done, I had a killer group of characters, including Champion Edition Bison. There was one version of Guile. There was one version of Ryu. There was like 3 or 4 characters who I could all play at a very high tournament level with. And I was literally winning every tournament that I entered. Like, I was winning every regional tournament that I went to, I was winning. And people were like, wow, so Phil isn't a fluke. Phil got 4th place at Evolution. He's dedicated his time. He's going around, he's playing, and he's winning all these tournaments. So obviously he wasn't a fluke. I don't know why anyone would talk shit about him, but it didn't matter. It was like a different world. The East Coast loved me. The East Coast said Phil's great. He's a great player. We've played him in all these tournaments. He's really high level, and we really like Phil. You know, he's kind of our guy. We're backing him for EVO. The West Coast hated my guts because the West Coast is all about their OGs and supporting them, and all the OGs had said, oh, Phil's a fluke. Phil's bullshit. He's not any good at this game. He never should have won. It's garbage, right? Excuse me. So, EVO East comes around, and this is it. This is you know, time to put it all on the line, talk turkey, and, you know, do what you're going to do. And I actually remember I showed up, and I knew I was the best player there because I was watching everyone else playing, including James Chen was there. He was playing, and Seth Killian, and Justin Wong, and Julian Robinson from Philadelphia, and all these killer players from all over the country had showed up to EVO East. Some people even came to EVO East thinking it was going to be easier to qualify for EVO by entering East because they thought that was the weaker group of players. Oh, EVO East, that's going to be the weaker people, right? So, I even remember the day before it was time for, like, the big tournament, and I was talking with the players outside, and Julian Robinson, who's a good guy, he's a real guy, but he's very he's very proud, let's say that. He's a representative of Philly. You know, much love to Philly. I love all the players from Philly. I haven't seen you guys in years. Shit, man. I don't know if anyone actually watches my content on here from back in the day, but he's a great player, and Julian was always good at the older games. And I remember talking to him in the hallway, and he was like, man, I don't know, you know, I've been practicing this and that and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, and man, I'm worried about this guy, and he turned to someone who's next to him. Who are you worried about? And he was like, yeah, I saw the Seth's here. I saw that James Chen's here. You know, Justin's been practicing a lot, worried about him. That could be a tough fight. And he turned to me, and he said, Phil, who are you worried about? I said, I'm not worried. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, I'm winning. I'm winning this tournament. I just know I am. There's no one here that's better than me. I've been watching all you guys play, and I know that I have more knowledge about this game than you. And he was like, oh, really? You're going to win? Oh, man, you shit-talking asshole. How dare you? Blah, blah, blah. He got all excited about it because I said that. And so then I remember in the tournament, in the finals, because I did blow through the pools. I blew through the fucking pools undefeated, no problem, right? Went to the top 8, and I remember I think my first match was against Julian Robinson. And he's like, okay, let's see what you can do, right? So he picked Champion Edition Bison. I said, you're sure you want to do that? He says, yes. I said, okay, as long as you sure you want to do that, because then I am also going to select Champion Edition Bison if this is the match you want. Yeah, I picked him. I perfected him. He could not move. I put him in that lockdown I told you about. There's a hit stun lockdown. He couldn't get out. And after the match, he was just like he was speechless. He didn't know what the fuck happened. He was just didn't know. He was flabbergasted. Okay. So I ended up having a few other great matches. One against Justin Wong. Justin tried a few things. He tried, I think, hyper fighting Ryu at one point. Nothing worked. I dominated everyone in that tournament. I picked Champion Edition Bison, Super Turbo Balrog, and one or two other characters, and completely dominated everyone and just went straight through. Boom. And at that point, now it was like, now wait a minute. We had all talked so much shit about Phil, but now he just won EVO East. Like, no effort. You watch the videos, you're like, whoa. So, what does this mean? Does this mean that Phil is now really a top contender? How's he going to do at EVO and all that, right? So, I go to EVO after practicing even more, and doing whatever during the course of the year. And I remember getting to EVO, and it was a unique year because a lot of people respected me now, and there was still a small group of people that didn't like me, but there were some big name players. Jason Cole really respected me. He's like, damn man, you really came out of nowhere, and now you're actually dominating your home scene, and this is awesome that you've got to the level that you're at. And he really respected me, and to this day I think he really does. He's one of the few West Coasters who's seen me play and knows me as a person and knows that I'm not a douchebag dickhead who's like so cocky or nothing, and he likes that, and he respects me for that. So I remember going out there and being friends with Cole and friends with a few other people or whatever. And when I went out there, I had my own hotel room, but it was very fucking expensive. That particular year, they had it, I believe it was at what the hell was the name of the hotel? It was called the Green Mountain Inn or something like that. It was a brand new hotel, and it was expensive as fuck. It was a resort. It wasn't on the strip of Vegas. It was actually away from the strip of Vegas. And the prices were insane. The prices were just out of fucking control for this place. And the thing was, I unfortunately, for whatever reason, I don't remember why, didn't reserve my hotel room in time, and for 2 days out of my stay, didn't even get the discounted rate for being part of Evolution, the event. So for 2 of the days, I paid like $500 for the fucking room. It was insane. It was all my money. Like, I emptied my money out to go to this tournament. It was just all my money. Semi-bracket. And not the finals, but the semi-final bracket. And I sat there and I waited. 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 And I fucking waited. I waited. My matches must have been some of the final matches of the day. And so it's late at night, and I'm fucking tired at this point. It's hot. It's very hot in Vegas. And again, we're not on the strip, so it's not like I could have walked down and checked stuff out. I was by the poolside for some of the day, and I was just like, I just want to fucking play, man. I just want to play. First match, finally. Oh, on stage, Phil versus Alex Valle. I'm like, oh, great. So I go and I play him, and it's an okay match. It's a pretty good match. For whatever reason, I chose to use DJ, which I don't understand why I did, because like I said, in Anniversary Edition, I actually played with Balrog, and I also played with CE Bison. I didn't usually pick DJ, and he had picked Ryu, and Ryu actually is one of the best matches against Champion Edition Bison, which is why I didn't pick him. I guess maybe I thought if I used basic Super Turbo skills, I could get around it, but DJ actually isn't as good in that version as he is in Super Turbo for minor reasons. But anyway, it was a decent match. I lost, and I was like, motherfucker, all this practice, I waited all day. Basically, it mind-fucked me waiting all day to play my match. I finally play Alex Valle, and I lose. And it was so disappointing. I'm like, motherfucker, now I'm going to be in losers. Now I'm going to have to fight my way out of losers. And I did. I fought a few more people. I beat a few more people in losers. Boom, boom, boom. And finally, at the end of the day, it's almost the end of the day. All right? My final match is against, guess who? Tokido. Now, this is the guy who beat me in 2005 on stage, mirror match with Vega. And I'm like, so I know the reason he beat me last year is because he knew a little bit more about the character than I did. I'm going to pick the character that I think I know the most about, and I should be able to beat him. I picked Champion Edition Bison. He saw that. He immediately picked Champion Edition Bison too. And I was like, oh, no. And the reason I say that is because when you have a Champion Edition Bison mirror match and the opponents are equally matched, it's a 50-50 shot. It's basically whoever grounds the opponent first wins the whole round. Because as I told you, there's this mix-up with the Psycho Crusher. When you're on the ground and you're getting up, the Psycho Crusher comes by, it's a 50-50 shot. And there's rounds where you will just never be able to get up. You'll get up, boom, get hit down, get up, boom. It just keeps happening. And it's completely random. It really is. You need to get the first hit. And I remember the first game, I won the first round, he won the second round, he won the third round. Fuck. Second game, I won the first round, he won the second round, I won the third round. Yes, it's 2-2, it's all tied up. He won the first round, I won the second round, it's down to the final fucking round. And it's like, so people, the crowds, the entire building was watching us play. Everyone just stopped and walked over and started watching because they're like, this is fucking crazy. This is like the two best CE Bisons in the world going at it right now. And we're fucking, it's just the dumbest game because literally, I knock you down, I win. And he won. He knocked me down and I fucking lost. And I was like, I wanted to rip my fucking shirt off like Hulk Hogan and be like, fuck this shit. What the fuck? Bullshit, cocksucking, duty fuck piece of shit. And it's just so frustrating when you put so much time into something to lose to that. When I lost to Valle, I was like, okay, he outplayed me with Ryu. Ryu is his staple character. That's acceptable. To lose to a gimmick like that, because you know it's a gimmick, is the most frustrating fucking thing. And it could have gone either way. You could have flipped a coin. I could have won the round. He could have won the round. But that day it went his way. And I was like, son of a fucking bitch, man. Seriously. And I remember that night, I walked away mad. I was so fucking pissed. And everyone, you know, who was supporting me was like, sorry to hear what happened, you know. Worst way to go out is to lose in a shitty gimmick mirror match like that, where really it wasn't about skill, it was about luck, and you just had the bad luck that final round. And I was like, whatever. And I don't even remember the finals. I really don't. I don't remember it. Because when I lose like that, I don't want to be with it anymore. I just want to forget about it and be like, fuck this. So I was like, I'm in Vegas. I went out. I had some drinks that night. I was having some fun and doing stuff at the bar or whatever, hanging out with a few people. But now the part that I want to tell you about, the final end of the story, is some of the crazy shit that happened after the finals of EVO 2006, okay? So keep in mind, I was out of it. I was totally out of it, out of the tournament. And I do remember at one point I went down, I didn't watch all of the finals, but I watched parts of the finals. And I remember there was some heckling going on and some other shit going on during the turn. I don't even remember anymore. I just remember there was some guy on commentary that was so bad that people heckled the fuck out of him until he shut up, so we didn't have to hear his shit anymore. I remember that. But what I do remember is after the tournament, after everything ended, basically, well, like I told you guys, people were there. I'm talking top-level players. I'm talking Alex Valle. I'm talking Ricky Ortiz. I'm talking a bunch, like a dozen top players, didn't have hotel rooms at the hotel and were looking to just bum time in people's rooms until they could leave the next day to catch their flights home. Because they couldn't afford, they didn't want to pay the $500 a night or whatever it was for the hotel. I was one of the few people who did. So, that night, they all knew where my room was because we had been playing games and stuff together or whatever. And that night, I remember Nestor came by, and he was hanging out with me. We had a few drinks, we were hanging out, whatever, we're having fun. And we went down to the bar. I remember we were at the bar, and it was me, Nestor, for some of the time, and then he wasn't there some of the other time. This female player named Jasmine from New York was really, really good at Capcom vs. SNK2 at the time, and I was really friendly with her. Jason Cole, later on, Alex Valle and a few others joined us at the bar. We were all just shooting the shit, drinking. I remember at one point, it was crazy. Jason Cole and I, in the middle of a bar, had an arm wrestling fight. Now, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to have an arm wrestling competition in the middle of a bar. So we kind of had like people form a crowd around us so people would know what was going on. We were like doing it. And as we're trying to do it, all of a sudden like the security came by. We're like, oh, we're not doing anything, sir. No, there's nothing going on here. We're just having a friendly drink. And then they'd walk away. Like, all right, come on. Let's do it again. And that was pretty fun. And I actually remember, I don't know if it was Daigo, but it might have been. One of the high-ranking Japanese players got so disgustingly drunk at the bar that he couldn't walk. And he was so inebriated, he was vomiting everywhere. And they actually had to call hotel security. They rolled him with a wheelchair to wheel him to his fucking room because he was so fucking drunk, okay? In addition to that, that night, of all nights, was Combo Fiend. That's right, Peter Rosas, who now is like the ambassador of Street Fighter. He took over for Seth Killian when Seth Killian lost Capcom, or left Capcom. Peter Rosas Combo Fiend, it was his 21st birthday. And so that night, people took him to the bar. They got him so fucking wasted. He was so drunk, right? Now, he didn't have a room, and I'm like, you got this guy this fucking drunk, and he doesn't have a room. Like, what were you thinking? And of course, me being Mr. Responsible, I had a few drinks in me, but I was responsible. I said, all right, let's let him crash in my room for now until he wakes up and he feels better in a few hours, because he's going to feel like shit because you gave him so much alcohol, but he's got to pass out somewhere, right? Basically, they stayed in my room for a few hours, and then finally I kicked them out. I said, you guys cannot stay here all night. You're here for a couple hours. Now get the fuck out and go find someone else to bum a room off of so I can finally get to sleep, because I got a flight tomorrow afternoon. And that was a wild time, because basically what that showed was that there's this subculture of people, right, who were so into Street Fighter, but they were just literally bums. They were bumming off of people all the time, bumming rooms, bumming rides, bumming plane tickets, bumming this. They didn't pay for anything themselves. If they won a tournament, they finally made some money, but they didn't. None of those people had hotel rooms. A dozen people. So why the fuck did you go? If you cannot afford a hotel room to the tournament, why are you there? You know what I mean? And that's kind of the culture of what Street Fighter was back then. It was like a bunch of bums bumming off each other, bumming off people who could afford stuff in order to go from tournament to tournament. And I hate to say it, but it was like some of the top players felt that they deserved it. Well, I'm one of the best players, so why wouldn't you just let me in your hotel room? I'm one of the best players. Why wouldn't you just pay my plane ticket so I can fly to the West Coast and play in this tournament? It's like, are you for fucking real? You're not a celebrity. You're a nobody. You just play Street Fighter. But this is literally what it was like in the fighting game community. It was out of control. You may not know this, but those Japanese players that used to go to Evolution until sponsorship, pick all those players up, they used to get their shit paid for free by nobodies. I'm going to pay for Tokido to fly to the West Coast from Japan because I want him to EVO. Why would you do that? Just because he's a good player, you pay his way? I never understood that. You know what I mean? I never asked for a dime for someone to pay my way. I'm going to earn my money and I'm going to go there on my own dime. But there were people who were like this all the time in the Street Fighter community. I can't say now how it's... I know now there's sponsorships and people make big money doing it and all that shit. I don't know how it is now, but that's how it was back in the day. And that was like an eye-opening thing for me. Here's people who afforded to drink all night, right? They played in the tournament, but they didn't have a hotel room. They weren't responsible enough to make sure that they were even going to be safe. Yeah, it was out of control. It was absolutely out of control. And that was by far the nuttiest tournament I've ever attended in my life. Okay, everyone. Time for a quick break, and then we're going to return, and we're going to take live callers probably for about 15 to 20 minutes, and that's going to end up this episode of Hate Live. So I will be right back. If you're watching on Twitch TV, stick around, commercial break, and then we'll come back.